Back and good morning once again. If you are just joining us, this is still Daybreak Africa. Well, today we'll be discussing the state of the nation with the numerous hike in cost of living in Nigeria, and as well discuss some possible solutions. We have with us a political analyst whose name is OLORUNFEMI. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Africa.
Good morning. I don't know why Michael is laughing.
I'm trying to just... Okay, first let me say Sam, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
When Fatima mentioned the cost of living and everything, I was just trying to relate everything with what is going on in my brain. But that raises me to my first question, Sam. I know you are a man of truth, and I really want to get that from you today. With what is happening in Nigeria, economic and politics, they are coming together, they are clashing, interest and everything. Can you give me an analysis of what is happening in our economy and politics right now in Nigeria?
Well, Michael, there's nothing new happening in economy and politics. You know, you can't run economy without politics. Politics cannot be isolated when you are running an economy. And don't forget that when the last administration, when Buhari was leaving, we have the statistics of number of Nigerians that are in poverty multidimensionally. We talk about high rate of unemployment in the country. Don't forget we talk about inflation rate, especially food inflation, and it was 22.2% when Buhari was leaving. So what's happening now in Tinubu's administration is not new, and it comes as a result of this issue of fuel subsidy removal. Don't forget that no matter what will happen, fuel determines the economy. Of course. Fuel determines the market. Fuel determines the running of our economy, because up to now in Nigeria, from 1960, we are still practicing mono economy in Nigeria. Even though when Buhari came aboard in 2015, he tried to diversify to agriculture. But you know what happened? Insecurity just raised the ugly head. Farmers were unable to go to farms. So, which means up to today now, we are still focusing on one major economy in the country, oil. And we're talking about, and out of that oil, you know, we have a lot of products. We have gas from that particular place. We have diesel, we have kerosene, we have petrol. But in all of these resources now, you know, it's like oil is the one giving us huge amount of money. You know, Naira exchange to dollar, foreign market, and up to now, none of our four refineries work in the country. So when you get the crude, you take it out of the country and you get the money back. So it's not. And when Tinubu came on board, you know, like I used to say, you know, you can't be talking about Tinubu without talking about subsidies gone. No Nigerian will forget that particular statement on May 29. When he was talking and said subsidy is gone, immediately all fuel stations shut down their station, waiting for the new increment in price. Immediately the NNPCs came out. Don't forget that during the tail end of the last administration, NNPC will privatize. So not like monopoly again, no, before NNPC has a monopoly, bringing fuel from the country, subsidize, give it to the independent marketers, then they start selling. But now, nothing like that again. If you as an independent marketer, you have right now to get your fuel outside the country and start selling at any rate. When you do a market survey now, Michael, you will see that in some fueling stations now, some are selling 600 and something naira per liter, some are selling 500 naira per liter. So that is the essence of fuel subsidy removal. And the reason why we are witnessing this kind of high cost of living, even though you are looking good, I don't know whether this market is affecting you or not, because like if I have to judge now, you are looking good.
I guess I don't have to look like what I'm going through, but you are looking more very tantalizing, of course, I must say.
His suit, his tie, his shoes, everything.
Thank you, but you know what is going on? The reason why we're having high cost of commodities in the market is that all our sellers, whether you are a male seller or a female seller, you depend on transportation system to go to a particular place to get your product from that particular place down to where you are selling your product. And in as much you have hike in pump price, automatically it will affect our food inflation, because before, maybe you are a yam seller, you go to Kano to get your yam before. You know how it cost before the first subsidy, maybe let's assume now maybe 20,000 go and come. But now that fuel has been increased now, maybe it will cost you from 20,000 now to 40,000. So nobody is expecting you to come back from Kano now and start selling the way you used to sell before this fuel subsidy, before we remove the fuel subsidy. So automatically it will affect our food and our commodity. And guess what? Was it last week or last 2 weeks? Mr. President came out declaring state of emergency on food security in this country. Even though I'm not too okay with the steps taken, because if you are declaring state of emergency on food and agriculture and so on, let's tackle the hydra-headed issue that is affecting our farmers today, and that is insecurity. last 2-3 weeks, we saw what happened in Plateau State. You know, Plateau almost became a state of emergency in such a way that people could not go out in again. And when you look at Plateau State, Taraba State, and Benue State, these are the 3 states in Nigeria that we can largely depend on when it comes to agriculture. I used to say it, go and check your data on Google. You will see that Taraba State alone can produce the rice that the whole country will eat. But the issue of insecurity don't allow our farmers again to go to farm and farm. So when you are declaring state of emergency in agriculture, that there must be food in the country, farmers must go to farm and farm. What about the issue of insecurity? You know, when you look at the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, especially during the first administration, you discover that the issue of insecurity happens to be a kind of problem in this country, because you know what happened in Benue State, you know what happened in Nasarawa State, you know what happened in Taraba State, you know what happened in Katsina State. Farmers were unable to go to farm. So when you are declaring a state of emergency on food in such a way that there will be more food, so that people can get more food in the country, let's tackle the issue of insecurity in the first place. Because if I'm a farmer, and if I don't have a kind of security that let me go to my farm and have the assurance that I will come back at the end of the day, I won't go to farm and farm. No matter the kind of seeds you want to give me, no matter the fertilizer you want to give me, in as much my life is not guaranteed, I won't go to farm and farm. Then again, you talk about the issue of 500,000 hectares of land, making fertilizer available, making seeds available, and so it's still burden of issue of insecurity. Then again, what about the deplorable state of our roads today? If you are a farmer, you know, all this farming takes place in rural areas. Now, what is the state of the road linking the rural area to an urban area? I'm just giving you a kind of analysis that what makes food to rise in the market, or food inflation, or commodity inflation. Now, when you look at the state of our roads now, from rural areas to urban areas, the state of the roads, largely, they are bad. Now, when you are a farmer, you are transporting your farm harvest from rural area to urban area, you know how much it will cost, because the driver that will transport that commodity down to the rural area, he will charge you because of the deplorable state of road. So when you are declaring state of emergency on agriculture, on food, and you are not tackling the hydra-headed issues that become a monster, because issue of insecurity now has become a doubting challenges in this country, especially for our farmers. So that's number one step that we need to take. When our farmers, when they can go to farms and farm and have the assurance that nothing will happen to their farmlands, nobody will attack them on their farmland, then the issue of food production will go down. Then again, you know, we'll be talking about, if you want to run a good economy, if you are still having more importation than what you produce, it's a problem.
Exactly where I want to come in now. If you will agree with me, Sam, that Nigeria is a consuming nation, because we produce less than what we do consume. Now, on the part of the government, policies do change, and a lot of time when policies do come in, people expect an instant change, positive change, I must say. And what we've been seeing for the past few years, let me say for the past 16 years, it's always a situation of, okay, this government, the previous government was better than the present government. And somebody said, and I quote, if we are supposed to say, we thank God for Buhari administration in this time, it's going to be a disaster. Now, I refuse to believe that as a person, but right now, let's follow what we are seeing as an handwriting on the wall. Policy that you bring to the table is supposed to be a game changer for things, because things were not as fine as we believe they should be.
Exactly.
Now, you take away the subsidy from fuel, everybody feel like, okay, yes, we needed to do that. But right now, some people also said, you remember the campaign of the Labour Congress person, Labour Party, I must say. Peter Obi. Yeah, Peter Obi. He said he was going to take away subsidy too. Some people said, okay, it was a justifiable
virtually all of them during the electionary campaign. Exactly.
Now, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president, has done that. But people said, at the end of the day, it's not just taking away the subsidy. It's about you bringing a form of let me say, organization, the reforms that is going to benefit the people, because you are taking away subsidy. Of course, the money taken away from subsidy is going to enrich the government. The money will generate a lot of revenue, but you are taking away from the public masses. It's a business. Right now, the government is not giving back to the public. What is your take on this?
No. Let me slightly agree with the last statement. I'm not here to defend the president, ambition of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I'm not a spokesperson. But when you look at recently, was it last week, the National Economic Council, they had a meeting in Abuja. shared by the Vice President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, comprises of all 36 state governors, where they do meet, discuss economy, provide solution, and what to do. And at the end of that next meeting, Governor of Ogun State, Dr. Abiodun, Governor of Anambra State, Professor Shokuma Soludo, and Governor of a particular state now, we remember now, 3 governors now, you know, at the end of the day, they addressed the state correspondent in Abuja, and they give us a solution. One, they talks about social register. No, before, you know, good. No, we're talking about palliative. It is true. Everybody agrees. Subsidy must go, whether we like it or not. Because when you have the corruption embedded in subsidy, you will pray that subsidy should come again. Even though there's no good thing that will come without a kind of pain at the initial stage. You're saying, and that is a stage we are passing through now. But we pray that this thing will not last longer than expected. You're saying now, you know, in the first place, when President Bola Tinubu announced subsidy gone now, you know, Nigerian Labour Congress, CUC, they declared a nationwide strike. They want to strike and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, they met with a representative of President Bola Tinubu, where Labour tabled their demands. TUC tabled their demand that now there must be a kind of palliatives before you can say you remove a subsidy. And when you remove a subsidy, the major area where you will feel the effect is your transportation system. You understand? Because all of us largely depend on transportation, whether you have a car or not. You make use of a vehicle, whether private or public. If you don't make use of vehicle, you have generating set in your house. Whether you like it or not, we are using fuel one way or the other. In other words, like there's supposed to be a kind of palliatives on ground so that people will not feel the effect. Palliative that will ameliorate the effect on Nigerians. Now, during the last NEC meeting, you know, governors, they came out, they addressed that. Now, first, you know, initially, Bola Tinubu was talking about they're going to distribute 8,000 naira to 12 million households, and that was vehemently rejected by Nigerians. That what are the parameters you want to use to bring out the social register to know that Sam is poor, he deserves to have the 6,000 monthly, and so on and so forth. People fought that, and at the end of the day, Mr. President conjure with that part, because later it came out from Daily Alake's statement that no, okay, we are going to review the proposed 8,000 monthly allowance for 12 million households in Nigeria. As we speak today, we have around 33 million Nigerians that are multi-dimensionally poor. That one is fact figure from National Bureau of Statistics. Now again, after buying to the prayer, NEC, they met, and at the end of the day, governor said that they're going to take away that palliative from federal government. Now it's going to be at the state level now. Each governor now will design their social register in such a way that they'll be giving out money to poor households in their state, money for civil servants. We've seen that in Ogun State, 10,000 naira for civil servant monthly for 3 months. We've seen that in Kwara State. We've seen that in some states. We see that in River State now, 10,000 naira for their workers for the period of 6 months and 3 months, as maybe as the capacity of the state may be. Now, when we are talking about removal of fuel subsidy, people agree that it is time we remove fuel subsidy. Now, it goes beyond removing fuel subsidy. And like I said, I used to say that it's appalling that 21st century, look at our age from 1960 up to now, we are still rigmarole on the rule. Now, there's nothing stopping Nigeria from moving from fuel consumption. Let's go. What about CNG, compressed natural gas, in such a way that everybody will, largely, nobody will depend on fuel again. Let's use gas. And don't forget, people tend to forget something, that immediately Mr. President removed fuel subsidy, the price of gas drastically drop unlike before. So we can divert from using fuel now, using gas. Now let me give a typical example. Something happened in Ogun State. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago, when Governor of Ogun State rolled out buses, Governor Abiodun, and those buses now, they are using gas. They are not using fuel again. So you get gas, then you use that to prepare your vehicle. So it is high time now we shift away. Don't forget that some countries before that we used to sell our fuel to, they are not even selling, they are not even getting fuel from us again. They said they have enough. Go to America. They are using gas over there. So there's nothing stopping us now diversify from using of gas, using of petrol rather, to using of gas. Then again, you can even use rechargeable car powered by solar. So, and in fact, again, it will reduce this issue of ecosystem. You know, where each time they are having meeting at United Nations, they talk about ecosystem, they talk about global warming, and so on and so forth. So, using of gas, using of solar to power our vehicles, we also reduce that and reduce the pressure on ozone layer. So, it is high time now. It is true. People will face the hardship in market, whether you like it or not, and that's what we are saying. That government, to me, the best palliative to roll out in a time like this is not money. Because today, it's still questioning. During my column last week, I put on the column that can we even trust fuel subsidy palliative in the hands of the governors? Because the governors are thinking that they want to roll out social register. How can we trust that register that these governors want to roll out from their respective states? How can we justify that register? Don't forget, during the next meeting, Governor of Anambra Chukwuma Soludo faulted the social register compiled by Administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. He said he lacked integrity state. Now we are giving it to the governors now. To me, the best palliative you can roll out in a time like this is just to roll out a transportation palliative system in such a way that each state will have a kind of buses now that will be affordable for citizens. You see now, subsidized so that in such a way that maybe before now, where you used to save before maybe 100 naira drop, now it has drastically increased. Maybe 150 or 200. Now, by the time government will roll out those buses, it will be on the shoulder of the federal government or state government, as it may be. Then it will maintain the normal price before the removal of fuel subsidy, so that by the time Bola Tinubu gets his cabinet ready, by the time we have the Minister of Economy and Trade and Investment, then they can formulate a good policy in such a way that after this, and all this palliative we are talking about is just a period of 6 months. So the question is, what will government put in place in the next 6 months? So in such a way that by the time government will stop this EU of palliative for fuel subsidy removal, people will not feel the hardship again. So that will be our major concentration.
Now that is my question there, Sam. We had a government for the past 8 years. Production from the stables of APC. It took them 8 years. There was nothing that was really put in place. Now, somebody want to do something within the period of 6 months. Let's see feasibilities, how this thing can come to reality. And also, talking about subsidy removal is a thing that we all agree that it must go. Exactly. But right now, we understand that there's going to be short run and long run effects. But right now,
short run, middle term, and long run
effect. Good. But right now, what we are really feeling, you said in your statement that you pray that it doesn't go beyond what we feel it should be. But the policies that are on ground, we are a consuming nation. We have epileptic power supply. Now, there's a proposed 40% increment on electricity tariff. These things are affecting small-scale businesses, and we know what they generate to the economy of the nation. What is your view on this, with what we have to do in the next 6 months as proposed by the federal government?
I think day before yesterday or 2 days ago, I think National Assembly tried to stop that increment in electricity, because that will not even make sense at all. Today now we are still rolling between 4,000 something megawatts, a country of over 200 million Nigerians. You see now, automatically you know that we are short behind what we're supposed to be doing. If Nigeria want to enjoy stable electricity, we're supposed to be running around 100,000 megawatts. Of course. Is then we enjoy good electricity supply. So on the issue of hike in electricity tariff, that one is dead on arrival. They can't now they can't increase that. Now again, you talked about the issue of putting up a policy and so on and so forth. Let me give you a typical example. You know, Buhari ran the country for 80 years. Now Tinubu is on board. Tinubu is here from Muhammadu Buhari. I'm not here because I don't want to speak as if I'm defending Tinubu's administration now. So I will try to be circumspect now so that I won't look as if I'm here to defend Tinubu's administration now. Now, Buhari ran the country for 80 years. When you look at Buhari, in 2015, it took Buhari 6 months to constitute his cabinet. 6 months. And after the 6 months, what did we see? Faces that are familiar with us. We saw Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, Fashola of Lagos State, and so on and so on, Ngigi of Anambra State, and so on and so forth. People were like, so these people took you 6 months to bring on board. You saw, and don't forget that when he was going, he amended the constitution that as a president, 60 days you must constitute your cabinet, and around that 10% of that cabinet must go to women. Now, when I'm talking about how to run the economy, don't forget that Tinubu was once the former governor of Lagos State. We saw around Lagos State, before he coming to Lagos State, because it was generating something around 4 million IGR per month. But by the time it was leaving 2007, it's moved from about 4 million to about something 2 billion in a month. So, and when it was coming, I took time, you know, During this election campaign, I took time to study some manifestos of these politicians when they were running. I took time to study that of Adewale Adebayo of SDP, Bola Ahmed Tinubu of APC, Atiku of PDP, Peter Obi of Labour Party. So I took time to study their manifestos. And when you look at the manifestos, all of them touched on economy, how they will revive the economy. Michael, economy is not something that you revive in less than 6 or 5 months. It will crash back again because you need to take your time now to revive, to know what to do, the policies that we need to put in place. And one of the policies now is we've seen now. Don't worry, currently now, Naira is floating now, unlike before. No, unlike before, when Barry was there, Naira is not floating. People were selling dollars to some set of people at the rate of 400 and something Naira. These people will come to labor market and they will sell at the rate of 800 and 700 and something. But now, Naira is floating now. And that's how you see that our Naira stands at the rate of maybe 600, 500 something to dollar now. And again now, let's have the Minister of Economy on board. Let's see what we do. And again, don't forget that we have National Economic Team headed by the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let's see what they will be able to put on board. What I keep saying is that we don't need a president that will put everything on the table at the same time. If the 2 things or 1 thing we will do, put it on the table. Do it in such a way that we're going to have a kind of a significant impact on livelihood of Nigerians. Up to today, I keep saying it. If we still consume, or what we consume is about 80 or 90% of the foreign product, there's problem in the economy. So that's why we need to sit and build our economy from within. Let's consume what we have from within. About 90 to 80-something% of what we consume, let it be from within. That's why the economy will grow. Then bring someone that understands the economy. Don't just bring anybody that will just come or want to compensate as a result of being a political member or being active during a national campaign. That one will crash the economy. Do you know the level of economy when Barry was coming? Unemployment, you can go to Google now and search what I'm saying. When Barry was coming in 2015, he met unemployment at the rate of 18%. 18% when he was coming. When he was going, he let off with 33.3% unemployment rate. Look at that. What was the poverty line when Barry was coming? What did he leave when he was going? What did the issue of food inflation when Buhari was coming? What did he leave when he was going? Now, when your administration lacks a kind of good direction as part of economy, then it's possible for that administration to collapse. And that's why we find ourselves in today. And that's what Nigerians are saying. That Tinubu must come up with a strong policy and programs that will revive the economy, that will bring us on board. Now, let's be looking, how are we going to take this 1.3 million Nigerians out of poverty line? How are we going to reduce our food inflation? And the problem now is that the market I go is the same market Tinubu goes to. Of course. The market you go is the same market Aketi goes. Though they won't go in person. And when you are selling as a marketer, you can't be sending someone to buy things for you that, are you from Governor Kedolu? Are you from Aketi? So you sell at the normal rate, and that's what we are saying. That we need to rigid our economy in such a way that it will meet an international standard.
Okay, well then, how do you now expect we as Nigerians to survive? With the fact that the prices of things, when the price of petrol is over 200 and something, is not the same. It has affected the prices of goods in the
exactly.
Market, of course. Then now it's moved to 500, over 500 naira, and yet Nigerians are not even yet over the fact
another top up.
Like, we have not yet gotten over the fact that the price of fuel has gotten to 500. Then again, we got hit by over 617 naira for per liter of fuel, and now things of commodities have increased exponentially. If you go to and this is something that Nigerians are still surviving on the normal minimum wage of 30,000 naira. So how then are they supposed to cope with the same salary but different cost of commodities?
You see, but when you look at the resolution of the NIC, National Economic Council Committee, they talked about the increment of minimum wage, and that was the first step taken by Labour and TUC when Tinubu increased the pump price. That no, you can't do this. If you increase this now, it will affect our workers. And when you look at the demands of NLC, the Labour Congress, and TUC, part of their demands that minimum wage must be increased. And when you look at Imo State now, from 30 to 40, Edo State has been increased, and some states now they've increased the minimum wage from 30,000 to 40. And the question is, can 40,000 commensurate with what we have on ground? The answer is typical no, whether you like it or not, because things in the market. And one thing about the market structure is that the moment they have the consciousness that government has increased the demand of workers, there's nothing you want to tell them, automatically the commodities will increase. So that's one of the problems of increasing workers' minimum wage. Now, what do we know? That's why I say that we need to produce more from within. When you produce more from within, we not largely depend on what is coming outside the country. Now, for example, now don't forget that. Let me give you a typical example. When Ambode was governor of Lagos State, Governor Ambode was the governor, he partnered with KB, and they produced, it was a lake rice then, Lagos KB rice. During that time, in fact, there was surplus of rice in Lagos State. Now, it is time to look from within. So, largely depending on what's coming from outside is a problem, and it's affecting us in Nigeria today. So, let's look from within. Let's boot our agriculture. Benue is here to supply us millions of yams. Taraba is here to supply us millions of tons of rice in this country. Northern area has yet to supply us food in this country. But what is the security situation of the country that will make the farmers to go back to farm and farm? Nigerians are not finding it easy now, whether you like it or not. In fact, some people are thinking that it's better we bring Buhari back now on board for the administration. But I emphasize this, that it will start like this, because you can't remove the free subsidy and not to engage all what is going on in the country, the action that is going on in this country. No, people are crying largely now on the of transportation and the cost of commodity in the market, and automatically it will affect the cost of commodity in the market. So let's see what Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that's why I said that we pray that it does not go beyond it. Don't matter that NSC now they've given 7 days ultimatum now. TUC about 2 weeks. Kwaso now, College of Education now, you know, last week from their additional chairman, Professor Osman Tolubeko, he said that their workers now will be going to work 3 days in a week because they are feeling the effect of it, and it does look like government is not feeling what Nigerians are feeling. Now we have the list on board now, the ministers now, and again, what affects again is issue of delaying in constituting the cabinet members. You know, at the we have our ministers of board, especially the minister of finance now. Then this thing will be very easy for him to sit with his team and develop a template on how to ameliorate and cushion the effect of first subsidy removal. But we pray that by the time we have them on board now, latest by Monday now, by the time the offices will be announced, let's see how they will run and do this, because we can't continue in this process. People are crying. In fact, when you go to roads now, you see less of vehicles on road now. People are now striking now, abandoning their cars at home because of the heat of the hike in pump price. So to me now, so government need to get things running now, because even though they are talking that they know what to do, to me, if you know what to do, you ought to have come up with kind of policy that will let Nigerians to believe that truly you know what to do, and you are something is on the pipeline. If there's something on the pipeline now nothing, Nigeria will not believe. And again, the issue of money now, don't forget since last month now, June now, the fact that is giving money, sharing money, federal government, state and local government, the fact has increased. The allocation to each state now has increased. Unlike because the money saved from first subsidy removal now, it has been shared among the 3 tiers of government, the federal, state, and the local government. So the question is, what are our governors? What are they doing with the money now? Because money has increased now, unlike before. I know what Ondo was getting before, and I know what Ondo State is getting now. So the money allocation to East State now, they've increased now. Now the question is, what will our governors doing with the money? And exactly, as a business as usual.
Exactly, Sam. That brings me to my next question. You've made mention of a whole lot of things that we need to face. Talking about the security level, talking about constant power supply, because if the country is safe and we have effective power supply, of course, investors will step into the country. Exactly. They will do a lot of business. But now, I have a problem, and I feel like the government, they are not really looking into effective price control of commodities. Why do you think they have not looked into that direction so far?
The question is, do they even have power over price control? Because we have a lot of factors that do determine price control, Michael. It's not only fuel again, you know. I made mention of insecurity. I made mention of deplorable state of road. You know, if I'm a tomato seller now, you know, maybe I do go to a particular village now to get my tomatoes now. I need to go with a vehicle. You know, the vehicle will look at the state of the road. The one that will determine the money we collect from me. If the roads are bad, know that it will collect high amount of money, because you have to put this vehicle on consideration. Maybe the process of coming back, something will happen to the vehicle. You have to take it to the mechanic that will repair. But if we have good state of roads, that we have good network of roads, you will see that it will drastically reduce the price of commodity in the market. Then the issue of, I talked about the issue of insecurity again, because recently I was listening to the governor of Plateau State talking about the effect of insecurity in Plateau, that majority of farmers now, that they've left their farmlands now, that they are in town. And if farmers, if they are not on their farmlands, what are we going to be eating? Nothing. So you expect that the little commodity we have in the market will rise. That is the law of economics, demand and supply. You know, when you have more demand, more than supply, automatically the price will go up. And that's what we are experiencing now. We have shortage of food in the market, and we have a lot of people that are demanding for that particular supply. What will happen? The price will go up. So that's what we are facing today. Another in this is EU of palliative fuel subsidy removal, because a vehicle that will go to transport your product from farm to the urban area will make use of fuel. And no before, maybe a driver was buying a liter at the rate of 200 naira per liter, and now at the rate of 700 naira per liter. You don't expect that particular driver to charge you rate it was charging you before the first subsidy was removed. So these are the indices that do cause price in commodity in the market. Now the question is, do our governors, do they have power over price control? To me, the answer is no. Because if they have power over price control, they ought to have come up now to give us a price regulation. And we know some commodities in Nigeria that our prices are fixed, like bread now. You know, we have a fixed price, like fuel now, we have a fixed price, and so on and so forth. But the commodity, because someone that is selling, now for example, if I'm selling tomato and you are selling tomato, maybe your own transportation to your place costs you maybe around 5,000 naira. If my own should cost me around 10,000 naira, you don't expect me to sell at the rate the way you are selling, because I know how much it costs me to go to a particular place to get my product back to my place. And all this mindset that we have from our people who are selling things to make profit. You can never see someone that is into a market or into selling that will be having a mindset to make a loss at the end of the day. You have to make a profit. So these are the indices that are affecting price of commodity in the market. And unless we stable all these indices, and number one are the great factor, you know, I made mention, your fuel. You know, fuel now is high now. So that's number one thing that do affect our commodity in market. And unless and until we regulate this, it will continue to go up. And that's what the particular governor is doing. Nobu said recently, roll out buses that will ameliorate the effect, so that people that want to go from one place to another will have the power to go. Not before now, not before. When you see some buses before, they inscribe what we call interstate among them. Buses moving from Osogbo to Ibadan, Ibadan to Ondo, Ondo to Kwara, Kwara to Kogi, and so on and so forth. If those buses are being subsidized, then it will reduce the high rate of commodity.
Now, Sam, you said we are talking about subsidy removal of fuel, the fuel, and now we are still talking about subsidy, subsidizing the buses, transportation, and the rest. Now, we are trying to cut down cost of production and maximizing profit for us to be able to run the government, the governance, everything should go properly and go well. But now, if we go into subsidizing buses and cost of transportation again, is this still not going to fall back on the shoulder of the government? And again, we are going to be in another form of debt.
No, it won't fall, because now they are getting more than what they were getting before. You know, doing the subsidy now, we know the allocation coming to Ondo State. You know the amount of money, and that's what President Bola Tinubu promised us. But by the time we will remove full subsidy, we will be using the money now to develop the infrastructure. That will be using money now to build a kind of economy that we need. So it won't be another trader, because they are getting money already. And those money before, they were going to first subsidy. And not only to first subsidy now, we know the corruption now behind the first subsidy. We know how much we were losing before now, about 4-point-something billion naira in a month to first subsidy. And we know the amount of fuel being smuggled out of the country now to Niger Republic, to Cotonou, to Cameroon before. But now, nothing like such again. And now, the money they were using before to subsidize is the money they will use to build the infrastructure. And the palliative we are talking about is just for a period of 6 months. I had governor of Daybreak of Oguse. He said it's only just for a period of 3 months. And after the period, after 3 months, then he will review whether there's need to go on 3 months again or to stop. So palliative is not forever, Michael. It's just for the period of 6 months. For government now to bring out a policy that we're able to stable the fuel subsidy removal. So it can never be a shoulder. Government cannot come out that one will be a shoulder. Now they are talking about giving their workers some stipend every month. They are talking about giving 8,000 naira to poorest of the poor. We don't know how they are going to generate that particular register that will not constitute the kind of noise in the community. They are talking about subsidizing a kind of transportation system in their various states. They are talking about increasing the minimum wage and so on and so on. So the money is there already. But what we are after is transparency of this particular process. How would governors, how would they ensure that the transparency in whatever they want to do? That's our major concern. So no governor can come out that palliative will be a body. Body for what? We have the money there already. Because the money we used to subsidize fuel again, we are now using it again to subsidize fuel. So that's the money coming back to governors, and that's the money they want to use now to do a kind of palliative for the period of 6 months. So it can never be a burden on them. So no governor can come out that rolling out palliative will be a burden.
I want to go with you, but I see Fatima smiling at you. I guess Fatima has something else to say. Maybe she's not accepting what you're saying.
No, still taking it back. All I'm going to say is, the fact that we're discussing about fuel subsidy removal, are we aware that it's not just fuel that the subsidy has been removed from? Even Association of Poultry Farmers, the grains, they said subsidy. They came out recently and said the subsidy on the grains given to them by the federal government has been removed. And now, how are they supposed to keep surviving on the cost? Because the margin between the present rate and how it was given to them is about 100,000 naira difference.
Exactly.
So how are they going to keep giving this grains and feeding their poultry and giving it out at a cost to consumers out there? And how is this supposed to, all this removal of the subsidy from the grains, how is this supposed to boost the economy?
Issue of removing of subsidy on agriculture and so on and so forth. That was why the president recently declared state of emergency on agriculture. And when you look at the template, it talks about giving out grains, giving out fertilizer, giving out hectares of land, and so on and so on to boost the economy. Now, when you declare state of emergency on a particular thing, people will not even understand that maybe deployment of soldier. No, when you declare state of emergency, it shows that you are giving it full attention on that particular sector, that all resources will be deployed on that particular sector. And that's what we heard from Mr. President recently. So farmers now, to me, their concern should be about their security, Fatima. It's not even about the issue of grains and so on and so on. The security should be their paramount issue. Like I used to say, do you know how much they are losing in Imo, Enugu, and Eastern State because of the sit at home? They are losing huge amount of money. So security should be paramount to our farmers, not issue of grains and so on and so forth. Again, now we're the rainy season now. You saw what a flood did in the last year. Swept out a lot of projects, a lot of investment. So that should be their concerns now. This issue of insecurity that is affecting our farmers. Now, since we have state of emergency on agriculture now, be rest assured that government will deploy all resources now to agriculture, giving fertilizer and so on and so forth, so that our farmers can go back to farm and farm. But to me, my concern is, if they go back to farms, would there be proper security for our farmers? Because, like I said, Nigeria itself, we can feed ourselves. In this country, we can't feed ourselves. But because of the poor leadership style that we're having in this country, and that's why it does look like we depend largely on the foreign goods than local goods. So that's the problem in this country. We have what it takes, apart from oil, to feed millions of Nigerians in this country. Each state with their whole potential and resources that they can bring together to move Nigeria forward economically. So that should be our area of focus now at this particular stage. What we do? What are those things that we put in place that will boost our economy in Nigeria? What about our SMEs? What about our, you talk about power. Power is key. Now in this country, in Nigeria today, whatever business you want to venture in, you must have your own power generation as your side. Because power determines boost of economy in the market. We know the number of investors that have moved out of the country because of power. So if power is there, everything will go smoothly the way it's supposed to go. So to me, the issue of removing subsidy on grains, on fertilizer and so on, that is not the key issue. The key issue is, how will government ensure that we boost our local production? There's what we call the local production. How can we? I served in Katsina State. As I'm talking about 2011, when you go to Katsina State, we have a lot of cotton over there that government can leverage on and boost our economy. Go to other states like that. So we have what it takes in this country to boost our economy and to feed ourselves. But in as much government is not showing a kind of good responsibility on how to boost our local production, we continue to find ourselves in Kwagmaya. So to me now, Bola Tinubu need to sit very well and look inward. Bola Tinubu is not new to Nigerian political space. No, he was there as a governor for 8 years. During the Third Republic, he was senator, but that republic was aborted by military junta, like what we have in Nigeria Republic now. So he's not new to the system, and he promised us that he's coming to renew our hope, because Nigerians have lost hope in their leaders. Nigerians have lost hope in the glory of the nation. Nigeria have lost hope in the issue of job creation. We've lost hope in reviving our economy. So these are the things that Bola Tinubu promised when he was coming. That is coming to revive and to renew our hope, to renew Nigeria in such a way that we can sit and grow our own economy. That Nigeria will no longer be independent again. We are still depending largely on other countries. Today, you need to look at the number of things that we import from other countries to Nigeria. Today, and I'm talking about country of 1960 that have gained their sovereignty from United Kingdom, and we still largely depend on other countries for what we consume. It's a shame and appalling to a country called Nigeria. So to me, Bola Tinubu has the mandate now to truly renew our hope and to see whether it has what it takes to renew the hope of Nigerians or not. And we need to start from economy. Economy determines every structure of the government.
You said renew hope, which we believe that is what's supposed to be our slogan and watchword for now. But now I want to play a little into the ministerial nominee list that came out. Of course, people were expecting a lot of technocrats, a lot of people that are they're honest when it comes to governance and the rest. Now we are in a situation where our economy is not smiling. Exactly. We are not happy with what is going on. Now, from what you've seen on the list, some said these things are just like what you've expected, known faces and people that are just coming like, okay, I'm going to reward you, you've worked for me. And so people feel like, okay, we're having good people that can do. Now, this is my question. What is your take on it? Do you see people that can change Nigeria economically, security-wise, and every other sphere of the nation?
You see, Michael, I think you are putting me on the spot now. When you're asking me, maybe will I see people that can change Nigeria on that particular list? There's nobody we ask that can you change Nigeria, and I will tell you that no, I can't change Nigeria. Well, when you look at that list, even though we don't have more, you know, just 26, 28 nominees, 28 nominees. Some of them, about 4 or 5 of them are former governors. We saw Wiki on the list, Herifa on the list, Bagudu of Jigawa State on the list, David Umai, now sitting senator now, leaving Senate now, going to become a minister now on the list now. Now, when you look at that list, quite different from what we've been seeing from the past. You know, it's only few names that Nigerians can familiar with on that particular. All of them are Nigerians, but only few names that we can familiar with on that particular. Unlike before, when you see lists dominated by former governors. Now this list now, you can't say the 28 nominees now. You can't say, in fact, you can't say 50% are former governors. No, they're not former governors. But what I'm expecting is that, though we have ministry, my own concern is that if truly Bola Tinubu want to renew our hope, we need to know who becomes the Minister of Economy. We need to know who becomes the Minister of Education. We need to know who becomes the Minister of Works. We need to know who becomes the Minister of Power. We need to know who becomes the Minister of Trade and Investment. These are the key ministries. I'm not saying other ministries are not key. They are key, fantastic ministries. But I'm talking about there's some key ministries that they are capable of turning around the economy of a country. So if you get the wrong hands at that particular ministry, the administration will be bad as what we've seen in the past. So we need people in that particular area who will manage our economy properly. But be it as it may, let it is too early, Michael, to judge person by their appearance. Let them start to work. Let's see what they continue to do. Let us see what we bring on table. Then we'll determine where we are going. You know, people have been carrying that all these things playing out in the for the past few weeks as a result of yet to constitute his cabinet. Now we're expecting ministers now to come on board now. Let's see what they will offer Nigerians. But let's see what they will bring on. My
question is this, there's an adage, an African adage that said, when you want to know a child that's going to be brilliant, maybe from the handwriting or the way they do things, from little you will know. I am more concerned about antecedents. You said the majority of the names on the list are people that their name don't really ring bells in the ears of the most Nigerians. Now, what are the antecedents? What they have done in the past? What the offices they have held that, okay, we feel like, okay, this person, if given this office, they can do excellently well. You made mention of some core positions, some core ministries that needs care, urgent care in Nigeria, that if they should fall into the wrong hands. Right now, we are in the state that we don't even know where we are going. But right now, from the list we've seen, what are the antecedents of this majority number of these people on this list?
Well, I can only talk of few. I won't sit here and say I know all of them, that I know their antecedents. I can only talk of few, especially the former governors that are on the list now. When the list came out, I was discussing with a friend, I talked about the former governor of Ebonyi State, now city senator now, David Umai. No, he's an engineer. And you need to see a kind of transformation that he brought to him. I don't want to talk as if I'm trying to praise him here now. So it's only few that we can use their antecedents now to judge them. But today now, see, it has gone beyond using antecedent though. We saw that in 2015. I made mention of that now. When Buhari was coming, we saw a lot of former governors in his cabinet. What did they do? Nothing. They did not even change anything. They did not even justify that particular appointment, being a former governor and being a minister. Now we are talking about the key role. Don't forget it today now. We can't be talking about robust economy without talking about Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. When he was Minister of Finance under President Olusegun Obasanjo, we knew amount of money, amount of debt of lifting Nigeria's shoulder. And Nigeria don't know that since then, we've been having a female Minister of Economy. Since then, we've never had a male occupy that particular ministry. You know, when he left, we have Samsudi Usman from Kaduna State. When Samsudi Usman left, we have people like Kemi Adeosun. You know, Ngozi came back during Jonathan's regime to become a minister. So since then, we'll be having female at that particular ministry. So that ministry is very key. And don't forget people like Dr. Dora Akuili. When he was there as a NAFDAC DG, when he was there as a Minister of Information. So we need people that will come and change it. And that's why people are saying that enough of recycling the process, enough of bringing former governors who have spent 80 years in their various states coming to become a minister, that it is high time we be technocrats. But hey, guess what? We can't dominate the cabinet with technocrats because people work for you during an electionary campaign. You have to pay them back. And one of the ways you pay politicians back is giving an appointment, whether commissioner at the state level, SA at the state level, at the federal level, minister, ambassador, SA, and so those are the ways. But to me, there are some ministries that we need to prioritize, that we must not use politics. Don't use that. You know, before they call about the Babasa Wipe, the meaning is that our governor said that person should occupy the particular position. So I've made mention of key ministry. Don't put politicians there. Put technocrats. I understand the system.
I would have loved to really go into what you just said, because I kind of don't really want to agree with that, but we are out of time. So Sam, I'm going to say this discussion is going to be inconclusive, but before then, in just a minute, give your last word to the general public, especially to the chaos of the economy that we are facing right now.
Where I too am feeling the heat. I'm feeling the heat already. You understand now? I know how much I'm buying for now, so I'm feeling the heat already. But to me, it's just a matter of time. Let's give government a number of time now. You know, recently now, federal government is dialoguing with Labour now not to go on strike now. So let's give government a number of time. Then again, start holding your governors to account. They have the money now in their bags.
Thank you very much.
So much. They have the money in their bags now. Start holding them to account.
Yes. That's very correct.
Yes.
I just said that when we do proper accountability process, we are going to get good results. They are giving them money from the federal down to the local government. All this needs to get good accountability. How is it being disbursed? How is it being used, spent? How everything goes down. We need to know how our funds, the public funds, are being spent, how they are being utilized for us to have effective governance from the top down to the bottom. From us here, we'll be handing over to our Lagos studio, which will give you more tantalizing, interesting topics to enjoy for the day. And from here, I'll be signing out. I remain Michael Obagiri.
Well, I am Fatima Ibrahim. Bye.